Back in December, the rideshare driver that drove K&M home that night spoke to News Nation. Now, he didn't want to be on camera. I can't imagine why. And he also spoke to the local papers there, where he confirmed the products in the area, how dangerous the area was on the weekends with kids under the influence and him not feeling safe. But also that he regularly drove those girls home, and there were 4 other drivers that knew them. But what's interesting is his alibi was that he went to Taco Bell afterwards. And then he called the tip line and spoke with the LE, and he went to go meet with them. The LE didn't go find him. I thought that was strange. But what's even stranger is that they were able to find his GPS coordinates using his phone. They could do that with the rideshare driver, but not with BK. I mean, there are tons of apps, not just the rideshare app, but other apps that can determine your location. Why is it that the LE could do that for him and rule him out as a suspect, but not for BK?
I would have imagined the police have a lot more, machinery and technological ability than sometimes we do to track people down. I assume that the police would have found him and that they would have talked. What did he say about being able to tell everything he told you to the police?
Right. Yeah, this was super interesting to me because he said that he didn't hear about the murders until the next day, and he realized, oh my gosh, these are the 2 girls that I had driven home, and I've driven home in the past. And so he was stewing on that for a little bit, but he was the one who eventually turned himself over to the police by calling the tip line saying, hey, I was the one who drove these girls home. The police tells the rideshare driver that they already knew he was the driver, but even still, he was the one who called in himself and said, hey, I was that guy. That being said, when he did that, called the tip line, he turned over all of his GPS coordinates from that night, sharing that he went to Taco Bell after dropping the girls off and then went home. And so that's the reason why he was cleared almost immediately, never been named as a suspect or a person of interest, because all the data that he provided to the police proves that he was not there at this house at the time that they allegedly happened.
One of the very first family interviews that the G's had, which was on Chronicles of Olivia, the YT channel. Well, if you watch it closely, and I'm going to share this clip where Christy talks about how her and Kay shared a phone. Why is this important? Because in the very beginning, they had access to all that information and they didn't need a warrant like the LE. And they had access to the information and they said it from the beginning. The timeline that the LE was sharing with the rest of the world kept changing and it was wrong. Listen and listen carefully.
My phone, Kaylee's phone is my phone, so we saw all the calls that she had made. I had to work. My phone, Kaylee's phone is my phone, so we saw all the calls that she had made, and we with an exact time. And
I reached how false it is, I don't know. But I'm saying from the timeline that I know for a fact, working it backwards doesn't match that timestamp.
Gotcha.
Working it backwards doesn't match that timestamp.
Gotcha.
And it had just been daylight savings, so maybe they hadn't updated their cameras or something. We watched the Ring video that showed them pulling up, and we're like, that's them, it's 1:56, that's what time they got home, and there's the car leaving.
Shout out to every person she called. I had them send screenshots of the communications that had happened on that day, of texts with my sister, of the call with my sister, how long was your phone conversation with her, just to do whatever I could in those first few hours, because unfortunately by the time we even found out, they'd been gone for more than 12 hours.
Crazy coincidence. The Othram lab, the third-party lab in Texas, involved in the Idaho 4 case and the IgG stuff, guess what? It's involved and it's mentioned in this documentary called Mostly Harmless on HBO. What's interesting is they admit in this clip it takes 6 weeks to make a profile. But remember, they took BK's DNA out of the trash and within 24 hours had a match. And then guess what happened? They had the match and they did all the testing and then they were able to get the search warrant and the arrest warrant. How do you do that in 24 hours when they say in this actual documentary it takes 6 weeks? Here's the clip. Listen.
It takes Othram about 6 to 8 weeks to create a profile.
It takes Othram about 6 to 8 weeks to create a profile. It takes Othram about 6 to 8 weeks to create a profile. It takes Othram about 6 to 8 weeks to create a profile.